What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Gathering the Magic here, bringing you Splinterlands content whenever I upload something. I never stream, whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, or Sunday morning, so you can come by and watch me go through the market. And that's what I've done this morning. So I've gone through the card market, token market, pack market, all that good stuff. And it's time for the Splinterlands Market Watch. This is episode number 21. Today is October 6, 2024. So let's get started and look at the token prices. So SPS 2 weeks ago was sitting at just over 0.8 of a cent. It's come down slightly. We're at 77 cents per thousand. Vouchers have drifted lower. They were just over a penny 2 weeks ago, and currently they're at 0.9 of a cent. And DEC, which was close to 80% of peg, it was at 0.79 per thousand. Now it's sitting at 0.775. So all the tokens have drifted just a little bit lower. Okay, looking at vouchers, 2 weeks ago we were at just over 13.5 million vouchers. Now we're at 13.67. So in the last 2 weeks, we've only gone up 135,000 vouchers, so just under 10,000 a day. Remember, we do print 40,000 a day, so we're using about 75% of the vouchers that are being printed every day for the new Mana Warden promo card or voucher card. SPS burning over the last 2 weeks, we've burned just over 310,000. So you can see we burned 316,100 SPS, and we're burning about 22,500 a day. And you can see the total SPS in circulation is at 2.874 billion. Okay, now we move on to packs. Pack prices, as you can see here, across the board were pretty flat. There really wasn't any change in token or in pack prices over the last 2 weeks. Not a lot of packs were open, especially for the older sets. You know, Alpha 1 pack opened, Beta 7, Untamed 20. But if you look at Chaos Legion, so the big news this week for packs is we are finally under 2 million packs of Chaos Legion left unopened. So 2 weeks ago we were at 2,003,000. Now we're at 1,992,000. So last 2 weeks we burned just over 11,000 packs, which is a little bit slower than it has been. We have been in the 15 to like 19,000 packs opened over 2 week periods, so it's slowed down a little bit, but yes, we are finally under 2 million Chaos Legion packs left available. Another big news for packs is Rift Watchers. The Rift Watcher supply, it usually goes down maybe 100 packs or 50 or 40, not very many. Over the last 2 weeks, almost 900 packs have disappeared off the marketplace. So just kind of a news there, some Rift Watcher movement. And then as far as Rebellion goes, Rebellion prices pretty much sitting around $3.40 a pack. We have sold another 8,100 packs, or just under 600 a day. I did the math to figure out how many packs we would sell by the time that Rebellion goes out of print. And if we can sell right around 600 a day from now till the end of the sale, we'll just barely hit 1 million packs. So it looks like we might hit that target, but we have to keep this. And this has been pretty high, 582. We have been in the 250 to 350 range per day. So I'm not sure if we can keep this up for the next couple months, but if we can at least sell 1 million Rebellion packs. Okay, going to sets, starting with Alpha. You can see for the commons, pretty much the same price. You're sitting at 46 cents to just under $6. Rares, $3 is the floor to about 12. Epics going for 368 to 834. And then pretty consistent for legendaries. Legendary floor price is right at $20, and the high end is now $165. Gold foils, not a whole lot of movement either for the gold foils. They're just holding barely at $10 for the cheapest gold foil common. Rares sitting at just under $100 to $966 for the high end. Gold foil epics $380. There is one listed for $20,000, so huge anomaly there. Only one on the market. And then your gold foil legendaries, Lord of Darkness is at $2,300, and a single copy of Elemental Phoenix is still there for $155,000. Okay, looking at your promo cards. The common promo card actually doubled in price, so it was at $281, now it's at $565. The rare is pretty much the same at $15. Epic came down a little bit to $45, and then the legendary promo is still sitting there at $147. Your gold foil versions of the promos, common and rare, are the same. There is no legendary like 2 weeks ago, and there is a gold foil epic promo, excuse me, a single copy available for $1,000. Okay, moving on to beta. So normally for normal foil versions, there's really not a whole lot of movement week to week until you get to the legendary cards. But the one thing I wanted to point out this week is someone went in, and this is for the beta core and the beta reward card, someone bought the floor out. So for the longest time, beta commons have been sitting anywhere from 3 to 5 cents for the low end. Now it's down to 12. So it may not sound like a big deal, but the floor of beta commons just tripled in price. So currently beta commons between the core and reward cards will go anywhere from 12 cents to just under $7. Rares sitting at 23 cents to 6.90. Epics came up a little bit as well. You know, the floor was 43 cents. Now you're sitting at 70 cents, up to $39. This is an anomaly. This is another card too. There's only a single copy available. And then your legendaries, $436 to $450 for your legendaries. Gold foils, as you can see, commons to legendaries, not a whole lot of movement, no real anomalies or price spikes there. So gold foil commons sitting at, you know, just about $2. And then when you get to the high end, you know, the $77 to $90 cards, these are usually ones where there's only a single copy. Same for the gold foil rares, so that's why you see the high prices here. Moving on to the promos. The promo card, the common, which is the summoner, had drifted down to 20 cents. Now he's back to where I've seen him over the last few months, 90 cents. So he's been pretty consistent over the last few months, 75 to 90 cents. So when I saw him drop down to 20, I was kind of surprised. And yep, those got bought out. Now he's back to 90 cents. The rare and the epic are pretty much the same price. Along with your legendary cards, the red dragon came down $3 to $18.45. Prince Julian came down to just under $2,500, and Archmage Arius is sitting still at $472.50. The gold foil promos, there is the common went up from $687 to $950. The rare stayed flat at $18, and there is a gold foil epic now for $125, and no gold foil legendary cards. Okay, moving on to Untamed. So the Untamed did not get a buyout like Beta did, so your commons are still in that 2 to 39 cent range. Rares, 7 to $1.35. Epics, 24 cents to $7.80, pretty much the same. The cheap $1 legendary cards did get bought out though, so now your cheapest legendary Untamed card is $2.45 up to $64. Your gold foils, 50 cents to $10 for a common, $2.25 to $13 for a rare, just under $10 for the floor for an epic, up to $115, and then your gold foil legendaries are $63 to $7.50. So now for the key cards in the set, Kitty, which had been on a tear, it had been at one point under $50, shot back up to $95. This week it settled down to $64. Llama, I believe, maybe a month ago was in the low 40s. 2 weeks ago it drifted just under 37. Now it's to 29. So if you're looking to pick up a llama, this is the cheapest price I've seen in probably 4 to 6 weeks. Jotun holding strong right at 40, and then Kron, which a month ago was under $8. I believe a month ago it was $7.98. Spiked 2 weeks ago to 30. Now it's back down to 19. So curious to see if this card is going to drift lower or kind of hold between that $15 and $20 price. And then your gold foil cards, Kitty went from $6.50 to $7.50. Llama went from just under $2.50 to $2.32. Jotun just unchanged basically, $4.79 to $4.75. And then Kron went from just under $200 to about $174. Your promos, Halfling Alchemist went up just a little bit, $1.53 to $1.70. Chain Golem came down from $9.75 to $8.71. and a Mighty Drickin. There was a copy a couple weeks ago for 10 grand. Now they're down to just under 2 grand. And for your gold foils, the Halfling Alchemist actually spiked in price. You know, this has been in the $50 to $60 range for a gold foil. Now there's a copy for 100. And your Chain Golem went from $51 to $61. Okay, moving on to dice. No real buyouts or big news in dice. 2 weeks ago, the highest rare summoner was $3.65. This week it is $1.66. Epics, you can see, pretty much stayed the same. The floor did come up from 20 cents to 71, and legendaries $3.23 to $65. The big news for the gold foils is the gold foil rare summoners that had been around $100. I believe this was Mylor. He came down from just under 100 to just under 50. So that's the big news for the gold foil cards for this week. Okay, moving to Orb. I don't know if you really want to call it a buyout of commons, but the common floor did double. Went from 5 to 10 cents to 12 to 19 cents. So some of the Orb commons look like they had been targeted for a buyout. The rest of the cards pretty much remain the same. The high-end legendary card went from $6.95 to $12. And then looking at your gold foils, you can see the gold foil commons also had kind of a buyout. They were, $1.37 to $3. Now they're $3.26 to a single copy of $23.76. So maybe someone went in and thought the gold foil commons, since Orb is a small set, wasn't a whole lot of it opened. Cards may not be the best or the most powerful, but they did get scooped up and repriced higher. The gold foil epic that was there 2 weeks ago for 120 is gone, so there's no gold foil epic. And then for your legendary cards, the Minotaur Warlord got priced a little bit higher from 664 to 700. Other than that, same as 2 weeks ago. Okay, now moving on to Chaos Legion. So Chaos Legion, as you can see, if you just look at the base cards, pretty much unchanged from 2 weeks ago. Immortalis, which I believe was the highest price, legendary at 521, drifted down to just under 4. Other than that, the base cards, the regular foils for Chaos Legion stayed the same. But the interesting thing to watch and keep an eye on are the Soulbound cards. So the Soulbound cards, you can see the floor is slowly starting to rise. So you're going to have a very tight range for the commons, 4 to 6 cents. Now it's 5 to 6. The rares, which include the summoners, the floor is still at 17 cents, but now the high-end ones are selling for 30 instead of 25 cents. The epics, the floor is still 91 cents, but now your high-end is selling for $1.36 instead of $1.14. And your legendary cards, the floor was $4.30, now it's $4.75, up to $6.50. For the gold foils, let's see, is there any big movement for gold foils? Not really, except for legendary. So 2 weeks ago, your gold foil legendary, and this is just in the core and the old reward cards, not the soulbound. The high-end card was $47. This week it was actually Oceanus. So gold foil Oceanus is the most expensive Chaos Legion legendary, sitting at $86.72. So looking at your gold foil soulbounds, you can see too the floor price on all these went up. So your floor on your gold foil commons went from 95 cents to $1.10. Your rares went from $4.38 to $4.63. Epics went from $22.50 to $24.98. And your gold foil legendaries went from $109 to $124. So keep an eye on the gold foils. These were hard to get. The cost of these is just going to increase over time until they are no longer able to be unbound. So it looks like week to week, these are just going to slowly tick up in price. So if you haven't grabbed them yet, the longer you wait, I think the more you're going to end up paying. Promo cards, let's see, was there any big news in promos? I think the biggest news is Zerial. So Zerial, which had been, right around that $15, $16 range, had a spike a couple months ago. Well, it just spiked again from 16 to 30. Waka a couple weeks ago, there was a copy for 400. He's come down to 125. And then Lux Vega, that had spiked to 320, is now in its normal range that I've seen over the last few months. Anywhere from 185 to 225 has seemed to be the range for Lux Vega, and it's sitting there right at $200. Looking at the gold foils, Osher came down a little bit to 38 bucks. Dr. Blight, that $47 one, got scooped up. Now the floor is just over 80. Zerial, even though it had a spike in the normal foil, the gold foil is still sitting right around 135. Waka is sitting at 650, and there is a gold foil Lux Vega for $3,000. Okay, Rift Watchers. So really the only news in Rift Watchers is Inevitable. So prices are pretty much the same as they were 2 weeks ago, except for single copies of Inevitable on the marketplace have moved from $19 up to $60. They have tripled in price. This continues to be the most sought after card in Rift Watchers. And then looking at your gold foils, not a whole lot of movement as well. You can see the floor did move for the commons from 16 cents to 36. But other than that, really not a whole lot of movement in Rift Watchers. Okay, moving on to Rebellion. And once again, the interesting thing here for Rebellion is two things. One, the legendary card, Tofu, which went from $30 to $57. A couple weeks ago, I saw it actually over 60 bucks, so it has come down from a couple days ago. But this card continues to be in extremely high demand. And it seems like no matter what price people list them at, they disappear very quickly off the market. One thing I want to look at is the Soulbound cards. So Soulbound, 2 weeks ago, the commons were selling 8 to 11 cents. Currently, they're sitting at 7 to 12. 7 cents is actually slightly under the cost to unlock it. And then when you pay that 6% fee, you're actually going to lose money. So I'm surprised that any of the commons are listing for under 8 cents. Rares came down a little bit on the low end from 36 to 32, but the epics and legendaries went up, at least the floor did. So the floor 2 weeks ago was $1.68 for an epic soulbound card. Now it's $1.87, and then the cheapest legendary was $9 2 weeks ago, and now it's sitting at just under 10. So the ones that are easier and cheaper to unlock really don't give you a whole lot of opportunity to make any money, but once you start getting into the epics and legendary, there is a little bit money to be made if you're willing to unlock the cards and list them. Okay, looking at your gold foil cards. So your gold foil from Chaos Legion, not a whole lot of movement. As you can see, you're sitting pretty much in the same ranges as a couple weeks ago. The legendary here, the 549, may seem kind of high. The only reason this is 549 is this is a max copy. So normally you're probably going to be right in that 200, 225 range, but this is a max. I believe it was a max rage. The only ones they had listed were max copies, so that's why that's at 549. But let's look at the soulbound. So the floor on the low end here for the gold foils actually went down. So 2 weeks ago it was $2.50 for the cheapest common. Now it's $2. $11.30 for a rare. There's actually one for $7.85, which I think once again is right around burn cost. So not really making any money if you're selling it at $7.85. And then gold foil epics going anywhere from $44 to just under $56. Gold foil legendaries, I think this is always going to be none. I will be extremely surprised if I ever see a gold foil legendary for sale. If I do, it'll probably be only a single copy of a single card. It is just way too expensive to unlock one. Looking at right around $200 just to unlock it and list it. And then how much are you going to try to sell it for? So we'll be very surprised if I ever see anything in these two columns. Okay, then looking at the key legendary cards from Rebellion. So Kai, pretty much unchanged normal foil. There are no gold foils on the marketplace currently. So just wanted to point that out. 2 weeks ago there was one for 70, it is now gone. A Kane was 19, came down to just over 15, and the gold foil went from 115 down to 98. Rage dropped in price from 25 to just under 17, and the gold foil, which was 190, the only one, like I mentioned earlier, that's available is for a max copy for 549. Darg was a big mover, at least the regular foil, went from 13 to 1950. But the gold foil went the opposite direction, went from 149 to 79. So this might actually be a good deal. I mean, if the base card went up that much, you would think the gold foil would at least hold price. So this may be a good deal. I don't think I'll see this 2 weeks from now. Venka went from 30 up to 32, almost 32.50, but the gold foil went down from 275 to 222. Lorcas is sitting right about 23.50-ish. The gold foil stayed the same at 215. Cryptic moved up from 21 to just over 25. Gold foil drifted a little lower from 165 to 150. Tofu, once again, the card I mentioned earlier, basically has doubled in price from 30, and I've seen it at 60. Currently, as of filming of this video, and it's probably going to change hour to hour, it's currently sitting at 57.42. The gold foil came down a little bit to 279, and then EMP went from $22 down to 18, and the gold foil from 160 to about 125. Okay, and then wrapping this up, looking at the promo cards, Grimbard & Smith still holding right around 250, so he's still holding pretty strong. Manaroth, there was a buyout a couple weeks ago. The only ones available, single BCX, were 99. Now it's at 50. Enforcer still holding at 50 cents. And Baron Fiat drifted down from 590 to 450. One card I wanted to mention is Grimbard & Smith. You know, the gold foils have been sitting in the 35 to 50 range. Currently, there's one for 21.67. This, I think, is going to disappear pretty quickly. I expect the next time I do the market watch, he's probably going to be in the 35 to 50 range again. This seems too low to me. Manaroth went from 350 to 329. Enforcer from 450 down to 419. And Baron Fiat actually went up a little bit. Gold foil went from $63 to $69. Mana Warden, the voucher card, was 19 cents, just drifted a little bit lower to 18. But the gold foil is holding strong. You know, it was $3 about 2 months, about a month ago. Drifted down to 240. I've seen it this week down to 215. I thought when I would do the video he'd be about 210 to 215, but actually the cheapest ones are now back up to $3. So the gold foils are holding their value. The two promo cards, Sanctus and Eleanor, these had huge spikes, as you can see. Sanctus, when it came out 2 weeks ago and I did the market watch, $2. Now it's $4. And the gold foil was sitting at $14.50. Now it's at $21. So huge price spikes for Sanctus. And Eleanor, same thing as well. $30. People are like, oh, the card's too expensive. It's selling for $30. Well, now it's $44. And this is a single copy, kids. This is not a combined BCX. Single gold foil Eleanor is sitting at $500, and that's up from $219 2 weeks ago. So maybe these cards aren't as bad as people thought. People are saying they were, too expensive. Maybe these prices were too low. Let's see if these hold their value 2 weeks from now or if they drift back lower. But these are probably two of the biggest spikes this week, along with Tofu going from 30 to 60, and then Inevitable going from $19 to 60 as well. So that's it for the market watch. That's it for part one. Part two later today, we will actually go to the market and kind of look at each set. We'll look and see how many cards are in circulation, maybe look and see how many max copies there are. If you didn't have a chance, I did a video a couple days ago where I went through the market and just wrote down how many max copies there are of different rarity cards from every set. So if you haven't checked that out, just kind of curious to see how many max copies are for sale, definitely check that video out. Thank you guys for everything. Thanks for the views. If there's any questions or comments or topics you'd like me to cover, please leave those in the comments below. And until part two, stay the course, keep on forging, have fun, and I'll see you soon. Take care.